We're going to get into our next segment here where we actually answer 10 of the most common questions when utilizing that VA loan. Okay, so we'll see you on the other side if you get there with us. All right. All right. Welcome to the Prepare to Compete podcast, the real estate segment. Okay, so really excited to bring to you guys today. We're answering 10 of the most common questions in regards to the VA loan, right? Because you could talk to your real estate agent, you could talk to your VA lender, and sometimes you're just still confused about what's really going on with that VA loan. So we're here to kind of break it down in a general sense, the most common questions. Feel free to ask additional questions in the comments here. And also feel free to reach out to us regarding any of your real estate needs, right? Because we're actually able to serve veterans throughout the country if you choose to work with us. And definitely love to help you with your home purchase, your home sale, or even refinancing of your home. Because we have realtor partners and lender partners throughout the whole entire country here to help serve you guys.
For sure, for sure. And we definitely want to kind of unlock what the VA loan is, because at the end of the day, I don't think there's a love highlight on this incredible loan for veterans because, one, there's a great demographic that we're serving, right? Two, we just want to make sure that you have the information because this information here could ultimately service you and your family for the rest of your lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Ken, if you
Yeah.
have the 10 questions there for us, man, let me know. Just line them up, and I'm going to just go ahead and knock them down.
Will do. We want to make sure that again, that the veterans that submitted these questions get everything answered. So please, obviously, Kayvon, I know you're going to do an incredible job. But veterans, please, if you have any other questions, do not be hesitant to comment below. We want to answer those too. Okay. So one, ultimately, what is the VA loan and how does it work? That was the one of the number one questions because it's a very convoluted process. So could you tell us that?
Absolutely. That is a great question, right? Why does it exist and that sort of thing. So, a VA loan is a mortgage product that's
Hmm.
backed by the government, right? So, it's backed by the government. It's backed by the Division of Veteran Affairs. Okay. So, what they do is they insure that loan for people that are going to be utilizing that loan. Now, the major key here, right, when we're talking about that, is that you can be a veteran, you can
Hmm.
be an active duty service member, which is a major key here, or you could
Hmm.
be a surviving beneficiary of a veteran. Okay, so understand that there's a lot of different ways to unlock this benefit. Okay, and I talk a lot about house hacking, right? So obviously we know when you're active duty, you may move around a lot, different things like that. You can actually take advantage of the VA loan while you're active duty. Okay, so that's something that you want to understand there. Obviously, as a veteran, you can use that because it's called a VA loan. You think you actually cannot use that product until you are out of service. You can use it while you're in service, and also any surviving members that the veteran actually authorized for that product can utilize that as well. So a surviving spouse is usually the most common person that will utilize that product.
So the surviving spouse of a veteran who has the authority that's qualified, they can utilize the benefit as well. Not only the service member or the service member that has been discharged, the veteran.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, no, great stuff there. Great stuff.
Great, great, perfect. That's good news. We always want to make sure that not only are we serving the veteran, because also the family, that's very important as well. So if ultimately something tragic ever happened, again, the surviving spouse will be able to obtain that as well. So what about some of the eligibilities though? Are there certain specific eligibilities? Because that's question number two. They wanted to kind of know, the veterans wanted to know, are there any eligibility requirements of the VA loan?
Absolutely. Great question right there. Great question. Okay. So ultimately, the first piece of evidence they're going to ask for when you are applying for a VA loan is your DD 214. Okay. And Kenneth could definitely break down that document, but that's what you're going to need to apply for that loan. They're going to ask you for that document and to see if you're eligible for that. If you actually are in the National Guard, right, you could be eligible for that VA loan. And again, when we get into those surviving spouses, right, and we're talking about the surviving spouses of veterans who died in a line of duty or a result of a service-connected disability, is usually how that spouse is able to procure that benefit there. So those are the different criteria of who's eligible. But ultimately, you would typically have that DD 214, and it will have all those different details of how many days you served and that sort of thing. And they will determine if you're eligible for that benefit just based off of that DD 214.
Oh, perfect. That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, man. Thanks. Great questions, man. And I know we get into the weeds a little bit, but that's because you have to, man. You have to
Yeah.
get in the dirt and get your hands dirty and make sure you answer these questions for the people, man. And that's what we're doing today. Definitely appreciate that. Kenneth Davis, what's the third question for us?
Man, let's go ahead and go down the list. I see. Let me see. Bing, drum roll, please. All right. So another one. How to apply for VA loan, a home loan benefit. How do you apply for a VA home loan benefit?
Definitely. Okay, so basically, when you apply for that benefit, you're going to need to get your COE, right? That's the certificate of eligibility. That's going to be the first thing that you're going to need. Again, you're going to need that DD 214 document as well. And you want to have that. You want to ultimately go through a VA approved lender. So you want to do that, and they're usually going to help you kind of facilitate that process. So usually, where I tell individuals to start is that if you bank with the credit union like Navy Federal, they have some amazing loan products, and they ultimately offer the VA loan, of course. And you have a lot of different banks that offer products as well. So even if you're not with them, you're at a different credit union or even at a larger bank like a Chase Bank or something. They facilitate the VA loans as well. And another avenue is that you can go through a mortgage broker, right? We ultimately work with a mortgage broker to kind of help you get qualified for that VA loan, because the broker is going to actually work for you to kind of shop around different certified lenders so that you can get the best rates and the best terms for your VA loan. Okay, so that broker is going to help you do all the work for you, but ultimately the VA loan is so popular, pretty much every single mortgage lender offers that product. Okay.
Perfect. And just because, however, I will say is, and that's based on my experience, just because again that most lenders offer it, I will say that sometimes there are, there's a real estate agent for you, right? And there's a VA home loan officer for you as well. So you please make sure that they're certified and understand the nuances of the VA home loan. With again, Kayvon here being a VA specialist, he understands those ins and outs. So we always want to make sure that we're dealing with someone that's well educated in that space.
Absolutely,
Okay?
absolutely.
But next question. Next question. So with that, I again, the people want to know um, how much can you borrow? Is there some type of limit on this, or how again? How does that work?
Great question. Great question. They actually recently, a few years ago, got rid of the loan limits. Okay, so for the VA loan product, so there's no official loan limits. So it's going to really vary based on you, right? Based on the particular veteran household, on how much income that you have, and also looking at your assets and also your liabilities as well, on what you can qualify for that loan. So, if you're a veteran and you have a higher income, you can definitely buy $1 million property, right? So they're gonna look at that, your income, and determine what you qualify for, just based on like using any other type of loan product. Okay, so the sky is literally the limit for your VA loan now, when purchasing real estate in 2023 and beyond.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Because I know before it was kind of like you're very limited of what you can get, such as limits of, such as FHA has, and I'm sure you explain what FHA loan is in other videos. So please check that out. Check that out. But instead, we want to get to the questions, right? But well, with that, talking about loans, well, what is the difference? The people want to know, what is the difference between the VA loan and the conventional? Do you have any insight in that?
Okay, absolutely. Great question. Great question. So, the primary difference between the VA loan and the conventional loan, obviously, the VA loan is backed by the VA, right? The Veteran Affairs Administration there. So, that's kind of one thing. But from a consumer standpoint, the benefit of using that VA loan versus a conventional is that you do not have a minimum down payment for the VA loan. So, typically, you can actually put down zero. I repeat, zero for that VA loan. Conventional loan products, you cannot do that. They have some first time buyer programs where you could put down as little as 3%. And then, you might have your a housing assistance program that may give you the down payment and that sort of thing. But ultimately, you're going to have some type of down payment for a conventional loan product. And another difference is that the VA loan does not require any type of mortgage insurance. Okay, so mortgage insurance is an additional insurance that's added to what you pay in your monthly mortgage. Okay, so you may have a principal interest payment, and then if you're putting down anything below 20% for a conventional loan product, they're gonna want you to insure that loan and pay that premium every month. Could be anywhere between $100 and up, just depending on your credit worthiness and also the price of the home. So
Hmm.
the great part about the VA loan is that since it's backed by the government is insuring that loan so that you don't have to. Okay, you do not have to pay that monthly insurance premium. So those are going to be the most common and basic details of the differences that you want to know about, which is why veterans use that VA loan first. And it's pretty tough to beat if you're a veteran to decide to use any other product for your primary residence than using that VA loan.
No, for sure, for sure. But I guess I have a question inside of a question, right? So with the differences, I understand that down payments can be utilized for the conventional loan. Is that something that veterans can possibly use if they have a lower income, if they do meet the requirements for down payment assistance to apply to the VA home loan to pay for such things as closing costs?
Absolutely, absolutely. Great question, Kenneth. Yeah. So if a veteran wants to use the down payment assistance programs, there are many down payment assistance programs they can use. Like, for example, I'm here in Las Vegas. We have one called Home is Possible, right? So they actually have a version for the VA loan where they provide some down payment assistance. So if you're using any type of those programs, it's going to usually be state specific, or even based on the county that you live in, based on what programs are available. So definitely check regarding that. So yeah, you'll use that for additional down payment if you want to use that money for down payment to lower the cost that you're financing. But typically, we find that those additional funds are best utilized, especially in this market here in April of 2023, to pay down the actual interest rate. Okay, so if you are using a down payment assistance program and you don't have a required down payment, instead of putting that, let's say $10,000 down on to reduce the purchase price of the home, and that may impact your payment maybe like $10 or $20 a month, you can actually put that towards buying down the interest rate, and that could save you hundreds of dollars each month on your mortgage payment in reduction by reducing that interest rate.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's the secret to the sauce. Every real estate broker isn't the same. Okay, Mr. Jones. Great. Hey, great information. You hear that, veterans? Please go make sure you're actually utilizing all your resources. Okay. All right. So, but with that said as well, so next question number seven, question number six, rather. What are some of the benefits that's offered with utilizing the VA loan? I think we kind of covered some of that, but again, kind of just, noting some of those benefits here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great question here. So obviously, like we just said, right? No down payment. VA loan doesn't require a down payment. You also do not have any private mortgage insurance. So that reduces your monthly costs on that. And then it also has a lot more flexible underwriting standards. Okay. So the goal is to get all of our veterans, as many as we can, into owning their home. That is the American dream. You serve this country. We want to do whatever we can to get you into a property. Okay. So typically with the VA loan, you could have higher debt to income ratios, and also you can have lower credit scores and still qualify. Okay. So even with that, even with them doing all of that, they're typically going to have a lower interest rate than your other products, okay, like your conventional loan products. And also, let's say, you're in Vegas, you hit the slot machines and you become a millionaire. There's no prepayment penalty on paying those loans in advance. So if you get a 30-year mortgage and you make those extra payments every month and pay it off in 15 years or sooner than that 30-year time period, you'll save a lot of money on the interest and you will not have a prepayment penalty. And another thing here is that just your ability to refinance that loan product. Okay, so you have a lot of different options when you utilize the VA loan. And a bonus one that I'm going to give you, because we are here with Veterans for Veterans, is that if you have at least a 10% service connected disability, you do not have to pay that VA funding fee. Okay, so that loan is very accessible to all veterans.
Yeah. Sound accessible, but also exclusive at the same time. That's amazing. That's amazing. Definitely with some of these exclusive benefits that's not offered with some of these other loan products that's offered. So, thank you for that information. All right. Question number seven. The people want to know. So, how do you actually find a VA approved lender? There's so many different lenders out here advertising different things. So much information out here. How would you navigate the landscape of being able to find a VA approved lender for you?
Absolutely. Great question there. So obviously you can go to the VA website, right? And they'll have a list of all the approved lenders there. And that's going to give you a general kind of consensus of where to start your search, right? But ultimately, the home loan is something that's kind of very personal to you, and you want to personalize that experience. So I would talk to other veterans. I would talk to family and friends, ask them who serviced their loans, right? And really build that personal relationship, and ultimately try to get recommendations that way. Because again, every lender is not created equal, right? And you want to utilize a lender that, of course, has the best rates and products, but ultimately someone that you can kind of relate with and you could ultimately feel comfortable trusting with such a large purchase, which is typically one of the largest purchase, if not the largest purchase that you'll make in your life. And you're here watching this podcast right here. So obviously, ask us. We know we can get you settled on getting a lender. I ultimately recommend each person talk to at least three different lenders. Okay, talk to three different lenders, have them compete against each other for your business. That's ultimately how you're going to actually get the best rates and programs for that service.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I think you really, kind of drove home the point of specifically having the best lender for you, or the again the best qualified person for you, out even when you find them, right? Because again, everyone's not going to go over and beyond and have a fiduciary responsibility for you. Again, find someone that's qualified and that puts you first. Okay. All right. But next question, question number 8. What are some of the closing costs associated with the VA home loan?
Absolutely. Great question. So there's going to be closing costs associated with every single loan product, right? So every transaction is pretty much going to have some closing costs that the buyer and seller are going to have to pay for. Sometimes in this market, if you're buying a home, definitely with the VA loan, you can kind of pull on some heartstrings there and ask the seller to pay those closing costs for you, which is going to be like your appraisal fees, title and escrow fees. They charge you to even kind of run a credit report. You're also going to usually want to get a home inspection, right? So that's going to be part of your closing costs. And depending on your lender, there may be some loan origination fees, and you may be trying to buy down the interest rate. So there's going to be a bunch of closing costs lumped in there. And a lot of times on that final statement that you see, they'll itemize those different costs, even if you're buying like a home warranty, and a lot of different things are going to be added there. So make sure that you talk to your lender and work with your realtor to really make sure you're understanding those cost, and that you're not paying any kind of junk fees from the lender that you're using, and they're charging you $1,000 to print some documents or something crazy like that. So definitely pay attention to those, but understand that there is going to be some closing costs that ultimately are going to have to be paid by you, the seller, or whoever is going to take the brunt of those expenses.
Perfect, perfect. All right, that's really good news actually to hear. So, again, those fees. I think I know you've been modest, right? But you also, again, I've seen you jump through hoops and actually provide that fiduciary responsibility, and actually helping some veterans into their homes and actually getting them their closing costs reduced or even paid for in full by some other sellers. So again, kudos to you as a veteran. I do know that you lead the way in providing the best service.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
next question, question number 9. How long does it take to close a VA loan?
Okay.
Because I've personally heard the rumors that it takes much longer, right, to close a VA loan. But again, give us some insight.
Absolutely. So it's going to depend on your particular lender, but it should not take more than 45 days to close on the loan there. During some busier times, it might have got up to 60 days, but again, it's going to depend on the lender, but the average is going to be between 30 and 45 days, with some lenders now being able to close a lot sooner. It's just a matter of setting up the transaction pretty well, getting that HOA resale package provided fairly quickly from the seller. Also, doing your home inspections very early, okay? Because you have your due diligence period and you want to check out the home, right? You want to kind of have that inspector crawl through the attic, kind of see any kind of little nuances that may be wrong with the property, and check the plumbing, AC, and all those different things. So as soon as you make that offer, as soon as you send that earnest money deposit, and even sometimes even before that, start getting that inspection scheduled so that you can ultimately sign off on that, then get that appraisal scheduled. Okay, so that VA appraisal typically is what holds back the timeline. So the sooner your lender orders that appraisal, the sooner you can close on that property.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, that's good information to know. So, I mean, essentially, the VA home loan doesn't take any much longer than any other regular loan. All right. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Last question here. Last question. Uh, can a VA loan buy a second home or an investment property?
Mm, mm, mm. Now, that's a very, very good question. And as a real estate investment advisor, I'm going to have to tell you it depends, right? It depends. So technically, no, you VA loan is going to be a loan where it is designed for a primary residence. Okay. That loan is designed for a primary residence. However, you can have more than one VA loan, which we had a video where we spoke about that. So definitely check that out here right above, and to get the details and the nuances of that. So you can a lot of different things you can do. Again, I'm a big fan of house hacking, right? So you don't have to think you use your VA loan to buy your starter home and you could never ever have another VA loan. That's totally false. That's part of it is not true. You have a couple different options, right? So I know we talked a little bit earlier about no loan limits. However, if you're trying to have more than one VA loan open at a time, that's where we kind of get into those loan limits and that COE, that eligibility of how much you can borrow, right? So what we normally would do is that you would basically refinance out of that VA loan to a conventional loan product if you want to have full access to that loan again. That's how you'll be able to use that loan to buy a second owner occupied property and convert that first residence to that investment property at that point. Okay, so like I talked about a little earlier, you have active duty members that can utilize that VA loan. Well, if you're active duty, you live in that house, and then you're going to be restationed, then you could again convert that property to a rental, then utilize the VA loan again down the road when you're ready to do so. So there are some different options to be able to utilize that loan again, and you won't ever be able to utilize that loan specifically for an investment property right off the bat, right? So that's why it's called house hacking. So you literally you would live in that property, and then you would refinance that property and then go ahead and move to your new primary residence, right? And now that that first property is going to be an investment property at that point in time. And that's the main consensus of house hacking. And veterans could literally do this better than anybody else. Reason being is because when you use that VA loan, you had to put zero down. So that's a lot better than 20%. So if you're a veteran, you're looking to kind of long-term invest in some real estate, talk to us. We'll love to really explain the nuances of how that's going to work for you.
For sure, for sure. That's amazing. Again, just quality information, man. We really appreciate you here. Again, continuously to educate the veterans, putting them first, and making sure that everything is transactions get closed here. So, thank you for that. I think again that kind of wraps it up for the Prepare to Compete podcast, right? With that, you guys contact us, continue to watch the videos. I know Mr. Jones here isn't going to say it, but please like, subscribe, comment. We want to hear it. Okay. We want to see it. But thank you so much. With that being said, you guys have a wonderful day. We're out.
Prepare to compete. We out. Peace.